Kings, queens, and in-betweens, welcome back to the City Boys podcast. My name is Ethan Thornton, and today we are going to go over St. Louis City's 2-2 draw with RSL, go through the match, give you our points on the game, go through the kits in one of the best in the final matchup of the season in KIT KLASH. No preview this week, so we got a big grab bag. We have a big episode prepared for you guys, but before we get into that, let us introduce our hosts. Jacob, how are you doing tonight? You look like you're in such great lighting.
I am newly illuminated. Somebody might have invested in some lighting that wasn't even acknowledged pre-recording.
Whoa.
So,
I don't know
those
who
of
could have done
you who
that.
can see me clearly now, maybe let me know in the comments about how illuminated I look. I'm doing fantastic. I just got off one of the best weekends of my life. I got to watch Sophia. Shout out Sophia. She had her white coat ceremony this weekend out at Mizzou. So I spent the weekend in Como, played some golf, had some beverages, got to celebrate Sophia. So yeah, shout out to her. Had a crazy weekend, not as crazy as, somebody else on this podcast weekend, which I'm looking forward to hearing about. One of those people might have been Grayson. So Grayson, how are you? How was your weekend?
I'm doing great. My weekend was pretty good. I worked during the city games. That was pretty lame, but it was at my new job. Come catch me at Extra Wavy downtown. It's actually a couple blocks from the stadium. So, good food, good seafood. I did not cook it, so you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, new gig, so that's pretty fun. Got to see the City 2 first round playoff game. It was incredible. A 3-0 win. We'll get more into that a little bit later, but my first City 2 game, and it was a banger. It was a heater. I already got my tickets for next week. I'm very excited.
Okay.
I think we're going all the way.
Yeah, and if we do go all the way, we're going to host it the whole way through, Grayson.
I
So
love that.
you
I
got a
love
few
that.
more city games probably to be attending at
I
Energizer Park.
also already have my tickets for this weekend.
We'll see. Now I'm missing out. Now I'm gonna be the lone wolf over here, not at the City 2 match, watching on MLSnextpro.com.
It's just a 4-hour drive on a Sunday. It's not a
Dude, it's
big
no
deal.
big
Do it,
deal. It's
do
no
it,
big deal. And then just
do
go
it.
home afterward. I know. It's pretty selfish of me. I can't argue with that. Well, I did have a pretty exciting weekend as well, gentlemen. This weekend for me was very city centric, which selfishly was awesome. I got to fully indulge in my favorite soccer club. Saturday was the first team game. Me and about 15,000 other fans in the pouring rain at Energizer Park got to cheer on a pretty exciting match, all things considered. I know it was only a 2-2 draw, but very exciting, especially given all the circumstances surrounding the match. On Sunday, started my day off by running, which is not ideal. Not usually a fan of that, but had a great time. Got to meet some, actually, I got to meet Matt Baker. I'm going to name drop here, fellas. I got to meet
Oh
Matt
yeah.
Baker, flyover footy, great guy. I led him in the race for just a little bit, and then he cooked me in the final mile, boys. I gotta be honest. This is not the fastest St. Louis City
Uh,
podcast. I think that title goes to flyover footy as far as I'm concerned. So big shout out to them. Had a great time meeting them, saying hi to everyone. Ben Lunt handed me my medal, which was really cool. We got to be on the field at City Park, which has been like a dream of mine since the club came into existence. So check that off. Got to talk to some other people that hopefully we will be talking to some more eventually. But in the meantime, that brings us to today, where I have been itching for a long form digital way to talk about my weekend and my experience. And gentlemen, here we are. I'm so excited, even though it's the last one of the season.
don't worry, it is the last regular season episode, but we will be posting a lot more in the off season. So don't worry, we'll still be around. There will still be some city stuff to indulge in. We'll be around, so you can get your fix here since
The City
City's
Boys
been taking a
podcast
break.
has no off season, is what Grayson is
Oh
trying to
yeah.
say. The boys are taking their travels elsewhere, but we are here to stay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, should we just dive right into this matchup? What do you guys say?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go ahead and kick it off with our lineups. So in goal, of course, Roman Berkey. Big news on him ahead of the match. We'll dive more into that at the end of the episode. But spoiler, he is returning, so that's pretty sick. Let's talk about this back four. We got Thomas Totland on the right, Kyle Hebert, right center back, Falou Fall, left center back, and left back Conrad Vollum. That midfield pivot sticking to their guns. We got Edu Leuven and Chris Durkin. The attack changed just slightly with our uh, attacking midfield trio, I guess you could say, with Kai Joyner out on the left wing, Marcel Hartl in the 10, and Song Bin Jong on the right, and Zhao Klaus up top. We did get a bunch of substitutions as well. Give me 1 second to pull that up here. We had Brendan McSorley coming in for Song Bin in the 65th. We had Thomas Ostrick coming in for Mackay Joyner, Devin Padelford coming in, Simon Betcher coming in, and Alfredo Morales coming in. So yeah, a bunch of players coming in for City here. A couple of players making their final appearances for the club. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the episode as well. But what are our thoughts on this starting lineup? Ethan, you can kick it off.
I think most notably from this 11, there is one name that sticks out most to me, and it is number 59, Mackay Joyner, fellas. He gets his first MLS start with STLSC, and I was impressed. I thought that David Critchley handled this well. I think that's been credit to David Critchley since he arrived at the helm, has been his handling of young players such as Mackay Joyner and Brendan McSorley.
Hey.
I really thought that he performed well and looked ready for the level of MLS soccer. He had a chance early on in the first 5, 7 minutes or so where he hit the post, agonizingly close to getting his name on the score sheet. And he offers a great flair. I was surprised to see no Celio Pompeu in this match whatsoever. That did surprise me, I will say. But I thought that Mackay Joyner's appearance was very good in this game. I think that's really the only note that I had on the starting 11 and really the lineup in general. I think everything else for me was the standard. Jacob, what do you think?
Next to Mackay Joyner as the biggest name from the starting 11, one that concerned me when I saw it posted since I didn't get to see the match was a Kyle Hebert start in a
Mm.
match where you can say we're not playing for anything. However, Kyle Hebert has had his ups and downs with the clubs, and in a match where we could potentially knock a team out of the playoffs, I thought maybe a stronger center back pairing would have been made available. But I also didn't see Kessler's name on the bench, nor Timo's. So, do either of you have any news onto why neither of them were in the team sheet?
I can tell you that Kessler was still dealing with an injury, and he actually said after the game that he was devastated not to be able to go tonight. He really, really wanted to play in that game. I don't know why Timo did not go, however, which I would have preferred to Kyle Ebert.
Yeah, Timo did make the substitution list, but he did not
Okay.
make the field. I feel like that was just a tactical decision. I'm not saying that Timo's had the greatest run of games recently, but I do really rate him still. I know I've talked a lot of shit on him lately, but I do think he's a very solid center back and one that, in a situation like this, you could argue he should be starting over Kyle Hebert. But I didn't necessarily hate Hebert's performance. But there is definitely still some holes in the defense that we're going to get into in just a second.
I'll
Uh,
describe Kyle Hebert and Falou Fall like this. You could tell that that was a pair that had not played many games together.
yeah, I definitely, that's a good way to describe it because they did look disjointed, didn't really know when to cover for each other or know when each other were going to step out of the main position. So there's a couple moments where they kind of left each other stranded, and it did lead to some goals for RSL. So a bit disappointing there, but I was really impressed with our wingbacks once again. So it looks to me as if we really just got to lock down who exactly is our center back pairing and just keep running them out until they form that connection with each other. It's a hard one. I think that'll come in time. Um, let's go ahead and jump into these goals.
I
Yeah,
think your point on the center back segues into RSL's first goal pretty well, Grayson.
I think that you would be right. Uh, Here we go. So this first goal, I actually wrote down defense still needs work. Hebert isn't exactly a starter, and Fall gets caught out of position again, which is becoming almost a trend where he's very aggressive, but there's been a series of goals lately where he's been dragged out to one of the corners of the field, and that just left Hebert alone in the center of the pitch, and Totland isn't there to recover. Our defensive midfielder, Chris Durkin, isn't there to recover and fill that space either. So Olatunji gets flicked in, and he's got a one-on-one with Berkey, and he does beat him. I will say for Berkey, this wasn't his best game. Um, we're gonna show him a lot of love today, rightfully so. But I will say, like, it's definitely a savable ball, but 1v1 with the keeper is I'm never gonna be like, keeper's gotta save that. I'm never gonna say 100% like he's gotta do that. He's
Unless it's
1v1 with
right at him. Yeah.
yeah, it's 1v1 point blank. He was in the correct position. He didn't give him like the whole side of the goal to shoot at. It was a very good shot. So I will give Olatunji his flowers. Um, but yeah, that would start the game off 1-0 pretty early on. I was pretty annoyed at work to get the feel the buzz of my phone in my pocket. I was super excited to pull that out and see a João Klaus goal, and I was wrong.
No, and honestly, that goal went against the run of play, in my opinion. Like I said, there was a Mackay Joyner chance that went off the post early on in the game. St. Louis City was, in my opinion, on the front foot. And the first half was extremely stop start. There was a lot of yellow cards, like 3 or 4 different VAR reviews. To give you some context, 11 minutes of stoppage time after the first half. So
God
there
damn.
was
I didn't
a
know that.
lot that went on. There was reviews for red cards. Chris Durkin and Diego Luna were both assessed yellow at some point. So that goal specifically just felt like what? We were all very surprised in the moment and felt, at least my sentiment was, that there's still plenty of time for St. Louis to get back in the game.
I definitely felt that, and then I was devastated to see that RSL would go 2-0 up in the first half. And okay, we're about to get in some opinion pieces here because the advantage rule is so it's just up to the ref.
Very
There's no
subjective.
yeah, subjective is the word I was looking for. There's no clear amount of time or amount of play that you should wait before moving on. But for me, this should have been called back. So there's a clear foul on the play. Mackay Joyner is carrying the ball through the midfield. He gets his legs taken out from under him, and the ref is about to call it, but then Leuven latches onto that ball, play immediately plays a pass that gets picked off.
Yep.
So to me, because like if one other City player had touched it, I wouldn't be arguing this. But since it was literally Leuven picks up the ball and a bad pass, to me that should immediately just been called back for free kick. but the ref allows play to go on, and City is caught out of position. Plain and simple. It is rocketed straight down the center of the pitch, splitting Kyle Hebert and Falu Fall. Tunji is once again in on goal, 1v1 with with Berkey, and once again Berkey he can't get to it. It's just we're just caught out in tradition, but in transition, but it was pretty embarrassing defense on this one. I was very disappointed in this. Do you guys think that should have been called back, or do you disagree with me on that one?
You take it, Jacob.
I think it should be called back. I'm also surprised because like every goal is reviewed by video assistant referees. And we've seen goals in the past get pulled back for a foul way before the goal's taken place, like a solid 10, 15 seconds before the goal's scored.
Yeah.
And this one wasn't pulled back at all for a an incorrect advantage call because there wasn't really an advantage for City after gesturing advantage. Like you had said, Edu immediately plays a bad pass once Makai Joyner's fouled. At that point, play should have been stopped. And then after VAR reviews it, they don't pull it back for the foul on Makai. So I'm doubly disappointed. And then the lack of defensive cohesion in a quick transition triples up on the disappointment.
Well said, Jacob. Yeah, I see the exact same thing. I'm going to work in reverse order. The flat-footedness in the transitional moment is really frustrating because we clearly feel very strongly that Falou Fall is the future of St. Louis City's defense. I think that either you plug in Henry Kessler, Timo Baumgartel, whether it be Kyle Hebert or Josh Yarrow, if there are injuries, like it's going to be more than likely with Falou Fall if he's healthy. So for those two to be caught out in moments where Olatunji is able to get in behind by himself, completely free on goal, did not bode well for our defense. And I will admit that when this goal went in, it was a little devastating in the stadium. We felt this one. The mood dropped. The rain started to feel just a little bit wetter, if that even makes sense. It was brutal scenes. On top of that, Makai Joyner is finally looking positive. He's looking like he might turn this momentum into a goal is very obviously foul. The referee does see it, so we know it's a foul and does play the advantage. It is very subjective where it comes into play on whether or not Edu Levin plays the advantage and then it's gone. I am very biased and with you guys that I think it should have been called back for a free kick. I think that would have been obviously much more advantageous to St. Louis in that moment.
Not only a free kick, but also a yellow card. That was a pretty atrocious foul on Makai Joyner. I thought at a minimum a whistle could have been blown just to give the yellow card.
Yeah, and St. Louis is threatening from set pieces around that area. So for nothing to come of that, actually for something horrible to come out of that, you could tell the boys' shoulders. They didn't drop necessarily. They were still going they were playing competitively in this game. Credit to the boys for showing up and playing all out with technically nothing to play for. So yeah, just I agree with you, Jacob. That was a frustrating moment, and for it to be the moment where we go 2-0 down in the first half, in the rain, at home, in the last game of the season, it all compiled to be a rough goal.
Before we move on into the next set of goals, what did you guys think about Diego Luna's yellow card against Chris? Was it Chris or Vollum? I think it was Chris.
It was
Was Chris
Uh,
Chris.
Durkin?
yeah, so Luna picks up the ball around midfield, kind of exactly where the Joyner foul is, and Durkin is just hassling him. He's got his jersey in his hands. He's holding him back, and Luna turns around and slaps him in the face. Like I don't know how that's not violent conduct. Uh, I don't know.
I'll say this, Grayson. If it would have been a red, I think that is a pretty harsh red card. I don't think there's enough in it necessarily to give a red for violent conduct there. Both players were assessed a yellow card in the end, but I thought what was really weird about that play for me was that I have never seen a foul go to VAR to check and then assess a yellow card. So I thought that if they did assess that there was a foul and violent conduct in it, I think that it can only go one way. I'm not as familiar with the rule book as the referee is, but I was surprised to see Luna issued a yellow card after the play because it would have been a very soft red card. Yes, it probably, depending on the St. Louis City fan you ask, should have been a red card, though.
Right. I just
So I do
I
think
don't know.
it's a red card offense. For
Mm.
all the things you mentioned, once you take a foul to VAR, they're only checking for one thing. And once you assess that it is violent conduct, I'm pretty sure the immediate following action is a red card and the player sent off. Now, this does put me in my tin hat bag where I think because RSL at that point had playoffs firmly in their grasp, and Diego Luna is a pretty up and coming, if not a big MLS star. Had he been issued a red card in the final match, he would not be able to play in the first match of the playoffs. And we all know Don Garber comes from the NFL. And the
Jacob ringing the
NFL,
conspiracy bells here.
That's why the
the
VAR check
NFL,
took so long. He was taking a phone call.
yeah, I don't know where headquarters is, but New York or LA or somebody called in and was like, appease the fans with a yellow card, but don't give him a red card because he puts butts in the seats.
Dang.
I don't know.
Collusion.
It's just like I would feel some type of way about it if Luna is still facing the direction he's running and he pushes back, but he literally turns around to smack him in the face.
Okay, I have another point though, and this is not. I gotta qualify this. This is not a diss to my short kings. I big shout out to all my short kings out there, like
You
Diego
have
Luna.
two of
But
them on the pod with
that's
you,
what I'm
so
saying.
be
That's why there's no
careful.
Watch what you
disrespect.
say.
But what I'm saying that Luna is like he's kind of pushing up, right? He's pushing up toward the what would be Chris Durkin's shoulders, maybe. So I don't know. I think he just misses, maybe goes a little high there. That's all.
I just don't think like
As a short king, I know exactly where my adversary's face is, bro.
I don't
You know
know.
that he was heat seeking Chris Durkin's chin, huh?
I don't know. It's not natural in soccer in like any sense of footy. Like Durkin's foul is definitely a yellow card foul. You're pulling it back, but it's
Okay.
not like it's not with the intent to hurt or harm, right?
I
Luna's is like
also
direct.
I don't want to harp on this too much because we have a
Yeah, we can move
beefer
on.
of an
We can move on. We can
itinerary.
move on. We can move on.
Um, but earlier in the season, I want to say like a month ago, Chris Durkin did have a foul where his elbow did catch someone in the jaw, and that went to VAR. And thank God Chris Durkin didn't get a red card because I think we ended up winning that match. However,
I don't know.
However, all
however,
right, gents, let's move into some brighter times in this game
Please.
because that is in the 32nd minute when RSL draw their second goal to take a 2-goal lead. In the 42nd minute, though, St. Louis City would be tossed a lifeline of sorts, okay? Because we do win a penalty, in my opinion, and this is not a controversial handball. Totland gets into the box, drives toward the end line, sends in a cross. The defender slides in and has his hand in a slightly unnatural position away from his body. The ball hitting the hand impacts the play. For me, that's the definition of a handball. Points to the spot. It's a penalty kick for St. Louis City. Now, there are some storylines behind this penalty that in training, St. Louis City had prepared for a situation like this. And Edu Lovin was actually the penalty taker on Roman Berkey in training. However, it's the final game of the season. He hands it to Marcel Hartel, maybe to get Marcel Hartel his 10th goal of the season. He actually didn't say. He was asked what was said in that conversation, and he was like, I'm going to keep it between me and Mr. Hartel. Anyways, Marcel Hartel steps up, does his stutter step, and actually misses. It is a pretty bad penalty kick, all things considered. And I can say that because I've taken some penalty kicks that looked exactly like that and have missed and been saved. Fortunately for St. Louis City, the referee has to go to the VAR monitor once again and checks for encroachment. The goalkeeper was indeed off his line. He rules. We reset and do it again. This time, Edu Levin steps up and smashes a penalty kick home, boys. That is what I want to see from a penalty kick, because even if the keeper could time it perfectly, he could jump right to the spot. I think that ball is getting blasted right through his hand. Banger of a PK from Edu. It's 2-1 now, and it's halftime. Good feelings around the stadium at this point, boys. The rain lightened up just nicely at halftime, so we got a dry halftime. Restarted in the second half for honestly a pretty uneventful second half as far as I'm concerned. I mean, there were the substitutions that you alluded to, Grayson, but for a long stretch of the second half, I thought that St. Louis City was just going to lose it 2-1. I thought that RSL was going to drop back in their low block and lock it in. However, RSL would concede a throw in deep in their defensive end. Devin Padelford would come across the field and take a long throw in. Now, this has not really worked for St. Louis City so far since he's arrived. Like, I don't think that we've scored a goal from the
Uh,
long throw just
they
yet.
look good. They're super dangerous, but we haven't capitalized.
They cause chaos like Jacob loves, but they haven't led to capitalization, which is what St. Louis City needs. But on this chance, Padelford's throw would go toward the edge of the 6-yard box. Falou Fall would flick it on, and Zhao Klaus would redirect the header home. McSorley nearly got a touch on it. Nearly, very nearly. He said he did, but I'm pretty glad that that didn't get called because I think he would have been offside. So the goal goes to Zhao Klaus. He would get his 10th of the year. No,
I don't think so. He was getting
I'm pretty
bodied,
sure,
actively
yeah.
bodied by a defender.
that's true. That's
And
true.
he also basically, do you remember when Haziel Orozco was being pushed
Yeah,
around
yeah.
by the Houston Dynamo?
He's getting
Okay,
moved.
it was the reverse for Brendan McSorley. He basically had to move him the entirety of the 6-yard box in order to get there. Do I think he got a touch on it? It's pretty unclear on all the angles of the goal. Do I take
Yeah.
him at his word or do I let Klaus have the goal? You know, can they split it?
A half goal for each of them. It's cool with me.
I will say that this goal does put Klaus on 12 goals in all comps on the season, which is two better than his 2023 record.
And
And
three
hey,
under what we projected him to have this season.
By what, three?
Yeah.
for
That's not
me, all
bad.
things
That's
considered,
not
no,
bad.
it's no, let's be honest, Grayson. No, no, no. This is a below average season for a striker. I think. I think that objectionably, this is a below average season for a striker. He had a much better second half of the season. No, you didn't score for almost a year, guys. Like the
I'm not
first half of
forgetting
the
that.
season, he was almost absent. Now, I love Klaus. I love him, but that is a fact that he was missing for the first half of the season. He concludes his season with 12 goals, and rightfully so. He had a great second half of the season, but I think by standards, that is a slightly below average season for a
I
striker.
mean, we can go back to the list of who's got less goals than João Klaus again. We can do that again.
Listen, we got enough to talk about on this episode, but we can debate Klaus all off season long. Trust me. But that would actually conclude the scoring for the game. There were 7 minutes of added time in which St. Louis City were pressing pretty hard. They looked like getting a third potentially. However, it would come to an end. And actually, before we conclude this game, RSL did have a disallowed goal. Thankfully, Willie
They had
Agata was
two
ruled
disallowed
offside.
in this game. They had one in the third minute.
Oh,
That
that's the
was
one I'm
yeah,
missing
yeah.
then.
It was
Also,
Olatunji to Gozo.
Willie Agata was barely offsides.
It was so close. It was so close. I thought they stole the game. I thought they
Yeah.
stole it. I thought they snatched it.
I
Yeah, it had to be
paused.
Agata.
I did the replay on YouTube and I paused it frame by frame because I was like, I think they might have got that one wrong. But no, he was offsides, but not by much.
Yeah, it was a clinching moment. I'll just put it like that.
This is kind of unrelated, but it's kind of funny because when Jacob and I were playing manager mode in FIFA, Johnny Russell was the one who hit a last minute worldy of a
Mm,
free kick to beat us
mm.
3-2. It was absurd. And luckily that did not happen. So
I'm not advocating for harassing players, but I was hoping that Johnny Russell was on the substitute bench and warming up in front of us so that I could look at him.
Just
I
look
just
at him.
wanted to I just wanted to see him. He's made
Meet
some
Johnny Russell.
nasty comments about St. Louis that I don't appreciate.
we should St. Louis City fans, I feel like we should come up with more chants about the other team.
We
Let's
do
just
need
have
a
some fun with
player
it.
chant. Yeah. Well, do we have any more comments on the 90 minutes themselves, gentlemen, or are we ready to get into our points for this match?
I do have a final comment about this match because I do just want to point out again that this is another time. I need to count up how many times this happened to us this season where the opposition goalkeeper has just stood on their head
Mm,
because St. Louis produced an XG of 4 goals to RSL's 2. We easily could have won this game. We hit the post twice. Mackay Joyner and Thomas Totland had an insane volley that hit the crossbar as well. Um, I might be wrong. I think we might have hit it 3 times, if I'm not mistaken.
correct.
McSorley had 2 chances to bury some goals, and uh, congrats to Cabral, goalkeeper for RSL. He really played very well. Honestly, if Olatunji didn't have 2, I think Cabral could have gotten man of the match because
Agreed.
we should have capitalized, and that's something that has happened to us many times this season, and is something that we need to figure out in the off season is capitalizing on these insane amount of chances that we've been creating, especially in the second half of the season. But that's all I got.
I think I've said all I need to, gents. We ready to move into our points?
Sure. I
Indubitably.
don't have anything else specific to this match related.
I'm gonna kick us off here because it my point this week is gonna make at least one of our other hosts happy. And my point is that Grayson is right. Earlier on this year, Grayson said something that Jacob and I at the time disagreed with. He mentioned that he did not think that Kyle Hebert was a starting MLS level center back. Time has proven you right, my friend. After watching last night's game, I have been convinced. I think that Kyle Hebert can fill in and do a job, and he works his ass off. He's absolutely dedicated to the cause. I'm not sure if he is on the level of an MLS center back that should be starting for St. Louis City. I was not impressed by his performance against RSL. And if you had to assign fault for both those goals, for me, it's going to be to the center backs, which he is 50% of. I don't know what Kyle Hebert's future looks like at St. Louis City. If he remains as a depth piece, I think I'd be okay with that as like a center back, honestly, 3 or 4, but no, yeah, not like
I'm
probably
thinking
closer to
like
4 or
center back
5
4 or 5. Yeah.
is ideal, I think. Okay. And so, yeah, that's my point this week is just that I hope that we maintain health with our center backs. I hope that Timo Baumgartel comes back and is able to have a full season. And we'll talk about Henry Kessler's situation a little more, but I hope that he returns as well. So that's my point for this week. Not impressed by that player. And at the time, I think that Jacob and I staunchly disagreed. I think that we did believe in him. He was coming off that Copa
Mm.
or the Canada call up at least. Like he had a decent 2024 as far as I'm concerned. So I think this season has proven you right, Grayson.
Well, yeah, I was kind of celebrating that because I was super excited to be right, but I don't actually want to be right about that one. I would love for Hebert to prove me wrong on that. Uh, But yeah, that whole take, I believe, came from a conversation I saw with Sasha Kleshin. I always forget how to say his name correctly. But his take was that Cal Hebert is not a playoff quality starting MLS center back. And I just had to agree. I like Hebert a lot. I think he's been a great servant to this club. He's always been around. He's always been available and when called upon, he's out there doing his best. He may not be um, the most accident prone center back, kind of like a Josh Yarrow, but there's just a little bit of a apprehensiveness when passing the ball. I just don't think he's super confident in moving the ball. And with the way City is moving, I think we need all of our defenders to be really good in possession. And we're getting there, especially when we have Kessler and Fall. And I like Hebert a lot. Yes, I do think we can keep him. I mean, we'll get more into the center back depth chart later. I'd like to talk about that, but
Yeah.
I don't
What's
know.
your point this week, Grayson?
My point from this weekend is that Brendan McSorley is McSurely ready for first team footy next season. And I do think that Simon Betcher and Toykert are the biggest losers from this because McSorley is going to occupy those similar areas, kind of coming off the bench, playing right wing and striker. Um, but he brings a different look to the game than both of them. I think he's similar in pace, as like a similar in pace to Betcher, but has more strength to him. He's more dangerous in the air as well, and his striking, his shot ball, his ball striking ability is, I think, more similar to Toikert's than Betcher's. But with how Toikert's been playing this season, I don't know how Toikert is gonna really fight his way back into the starting 11. At this point, I don't even know how he could fight his way back into a first
Spain.
substitute role. So I do think that McSorley has a lot of strengths of his game. He's a great runner. His work off the ball is really good. His positioning is really good. We've seen in this game alone, he had two or three chances to finish the game, and he put them on target, but Cabral came up big once again. I felt bad for him because I do think McSorley could have brought us that winner today or on Saturday. I think the kid is definitely MLS ready, and he could lead the line for us in the future once we do eventually move on from Big Man Zhao. But I think it's very important, especially with Critch at the helm, because talking about Makai Joyner as well. Critch being former head coach of City too, he knows these guys very, very well. He knows where they can be successful, and this game shows that Critch definitely trusts them, giving Joyner a start and McSorley about 30 minutes when you're down 2-1. Um, you're down with 25 minutes to go. You're down 2-1, and you have Celio, you have Ostrich, you have Betcher on the bench, but you elect to bring in McSorley first. I think that shows the trust and the quality that these young guys coming out of City 2 have. And
Yep.
especially after watching City 2 this weekend and getting to see McSorley play a full 90 or almost a full 90. He did get subbed off in the last couple minutes. Um, but there is a lot of talent coming through the City 2 team, and I'm excited to see how those boys can integrate themselves in the future. And I'm excited to see them just go to work in this postseason playoff run. I think they definitely have the quality to take it all the way and get St. Louis City its first silverware. I think it's very possible. Uh, and I know it's just, it's next pro, but if we win it all, I'm still going to be extremely proud of them, and I they deserve the love. They deserve the love. So that's my point. Is City 2 players, they're next up. They're next up.
My takeaway from that point, Grayson, and it is alluding to what we'll get into later this episode, but looking at McSorley versus Betcher and Toy Shirt, McSorley is far cheaper and does not hit the cap nearly as hard as a Cedric Toy Shirt would. And
Mm.
I do rate him higher than Cedric Toy Shirt right now. I would love for all of our attackers to catch fire and catch form. That would make us that much more dangerous to have any piece on the bench be able to come off and do a job. But the season's shown that Toy Shirt hasn't been first option off the bench. And in the times he has started or even come off the bench, he hasn't really played that well, bar one or two matches on the season. And then Simon Betcher is just not really the replacement we need for João Klaus when João Klaus comes off the field. But the strength of McSorley does make me excited that we could still play a similar attacking style with him on the field in position of Klaus.
We've seen in his game where he scored the brace how good he is in link up play and playing 1-2 with Marcel as well as Klaus. So I am excited for the future. And I will say to kind of give Toykert a little bit of slack. Melbourne Ball wasn't good for anyone in the offense. So I'm really hoping that next season Toykert can get, he can catch a break and just play some ball, just have some fun on the pitch, find his form again, and just remember why we got him in the first place. Because that first 5 games with City, he was electric, and he's definitely capable of scoring goals. It looked like he was just he lost a lot of confidence this season. He couldn't seem to get a strike on target. He had a lot of big chances that came up. Goalkeepers came up real big to deny him. So um, I do think eventually it'll even itself out, and he'll come better than we saw this season for sure.
I hope so. He has a lot of room to grow from this season, to put it positively.
I think all the Klaus haters switched over to Toykert. Um, so a lot of movement.
Well, gentlemen, I think it is time for the final bout of this season. Are we ready for it?
Ring that bell, baby. Bing, 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 bing.
I wish that we could finish off this season with a heavyweight bout, but unfortunately, I am not too high on this RSL kit.
Did we rate RSL's home kits already as well?
We,
We did? Okay, cool.
I think we rated this one.
That's what I'm
Yep.
saying. It's because I thought we
Yeah.
had talked about this one already.
Yeah, we did.
So I think we should rate their home kits then, right? Knock it out. Um, if we want to talk about this kit real quick, you can. It's grown on me. I know I hated it earlier this season. I just think I like the checkerboard, but I think they added a little bit too much. Because they added a design inside of the checkerboard. A checkerboard is already busy. I felt like you didn't have to add the extra lines in there to make it worse, but I did. I don't hate it. Um, Let me look up a picture of their home kit though, because I feel like I'm mistaken. I feel like I might be thinking of their last season.
I think that earlier this year I was a lot higher on this checkerboard jersey, but after seeing it at City Park last night or on Saturday, I was not impressed. This is not a jersey that I think will be too much remembered in the eyes of RSL fans, nor mine.
Which
What
one are we doing?
about
Are we doing the checkerboard or are we doing the
We're
was Grayson
gonna.
not just talking about the checkerboard?
I was, but we're gonna rate the home kit, which is
red one?
Oh,
the red mountain Peak. It's called the Peak Utah Authentic.
I was gonna say I thought we already rated the checkerboard
Yeah.
because I remember it as not being great.
I will say, like, I went to Utah a couple years back, and I did not expect Utah to be that beautiful. Utah is a beautiful, beautiful state. The salt flats are incredible. I actually drove past Real Salt Lake Stadium. It's kind of in a weird place, but the scenery is beautiful. And I will say that these kids look nothing like the beauty of Utah. Um, I I kind of I can't tell if I like this or not. I'm gonna give it a pretty mid rating. I kind of like I kind of like it because it almost gives me Barcelona vibes with the vertical Blaugrana, the red and blue. But then cutting it off with the mountain peak, it's very unique. It's very unique. I can't tell if I like it. I'm gonna give it a 6.7.
Can you choose a different rating? Like give it a point one way or the other.
A 26-year-old man. Pushing 30, by the way.
Listen, man, I coach middle school. This is top tier humor over here. Okay, this
Fair
would have
play.
gone platinum at practice.
I think differently than you, Grayson. I actually do think I like this kid. Um, it's very similar in colorway, like to what City had in the first season, with majority red, yellow as the
Secondary or the
no, that's
highlights?
the highlight color, thank you. And then just enough blue. It's definitely got more blue than the original City home kit. But I do think I like it. I like the mountaintop. I like the stripes. I like how the yellow on the MLS badge kind of makes it look like a gold badge. Uh, yeah, so I'm gonna be nice to this kid. I think I would rock this kid. So I'm gonna give it an 8.2.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Wow.
Hmm.
It's refreshing to hear you so high on a kit, Jacob. I forgot that you like jerseys sometimes.
I know. I might be the biggest hater on this pod.
If it wasn't our opponent's jerseys, we'd probably like them a bit more. But
Fair.
So, like you guys said, I like the mountain shape on the jersey. That is unique, but I don't know. For me, this is just a little bit sauceless. I don't know what it is. It's just missing an element that would take it to an elite level. So for me, it's probably around like the B tier of MLS jerseys, which in a rating format would probably be a 7.3 for me. It's fair, it's decent, it's better than most or better than average, but it's not tipping any scales. It's not tempting me to buy like the San Jose Clash kit is, okay, or the Dallas Burn. It's not an all-timer for me. I think that's honestly as respectful as I can get.
yeah. And RSL will be getting a new kit, new home kit next season, so this one will be getting replaced. I for one just love the MLS jersey release day. Like that is so exciting for me. So I can't wait already to see the kits for next season.
Final note on RSL. I forgot that DeAndre Yedlin played for them. That was weird. That was like, I don't
Yeah.
know, seeing an old uncle or something like, oh,
He really is
Michael,
Unc.
you're
He
I'm
really
glad
is
you're here.
Unc.
I think that's his second team this season.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
was
started with
he?
Cincinnati, I believe. He was on Leo Messi's Inter Miami and did win a trophy with them. Transferred out to Cincinnati, and I believe transferred to RSL from there.
Traded.
Let's see.
I don't remember for the trade.
I think he
Yeah,
was traded.
he played 7 games for RSL, 32 for Cincinnati this season.
Well, he didn't play 32 games this
Yeah,
season for them,
I didn't
right?
realize he had played for Galatasaray in Turkey.
He's had quite a career, to be fair. It was
I
I
just
remember
really
also
surprising seeing him.
he was supposed to be the truth for the U.S. men's national team at outside back.
He trailblazed.
He
I
was on
You
his
mean
know?
way to being the American Kyle Walker.
all those
Yeah,
years at
facts.
Newcastle, dude, his Newcastle era was pretty sick. I can't lie.
Bro,
I
no
think it,
DeAndre Edlin, no Serginho Dest. I'll put it like that.
I think his my personal DeAndre Edlin timeline, my favorite is his Seattle Sounders days when he was coming up and he was just young,
Iconic.
fast, and raw. Had absolutely no tapped talent, just chased the fucking ball down
Pure
and crossed
athlete.
that bitch
Yeah, it's
in.
like a bronze 63 rated with 98 pace. Can you guys guess what year was the first year of his professional career? He started at the Sounders.
2014.
That's what I was thinking.
2012.
Oh,
Wow.
damn. He is
Yep.
having himself a career. Fair play, DeAndre Edlin.
He made
Dude's
four
unk.
appearances in the 2012-2013 MLS season and then became a nailed-on starter for Seattle for 2 years before locking in that move to the Prem.
Enough about other teams' players because now that KIT KLASH has concluded, boys, we got through the meat of the episode. Let's get into these potatoes, shall we? Because this morning,
Potato, potato.
thank you.
Potato, potato.
As of this morning, Tuesday, October 21st, St. Louis City announced roster moves for
A
the
lot
offseason.
of roster moves.
A
It
lot.
has been known for some time that we have something like 21 contracts that expire, maybe 17. No, I think the number is 17 contracts that expire this offseason. And today we got news on approximately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them, with a few more still to go. Where should we start? Should we start with outgoings or staying put?
I think we should start with outgoings. Let's give
Yeah,
the boys a send off.
Let's do. I like that logic, guys. I'll lead us through the outgoings if that's all right with
that's cool.
you. We'll start short and sweet for Mr. Selmier Pedro, the club's first ever signing. Not sure if you ever saw action for the first team.
Um,
Call me a non-ball knower.
I know he was on the bench for a couple of games. He actually was one of the players that uh, wore the inaugural home kit for the release.
Yep.
I was looking for a photo of him for the graphic we made earlier, and I was like, wow, that's crazy.
I'm pretty sure he's the club's first signing.
I think you're right. I think
And
you're
as
right.
far as I'm concerned, that's about as much as he contributed to the club.
Yeah.
That is, yeah, a moment of history. Well, we'll stick with the European exits and move on to Rasmus a I would describe him as a fan favorite. Yeah, big salute to Rasmus.
I think to me, Rasmus Alm leaving is the hardest one of the bunch. Um, he contributed the most out of all these players in my eyes, and we got to see some really magical moments from him. But sadly, due to injury, we didn't get to see them very consistently, and I think that's what ultimately led to him leaving the club. But overall, I was very happy with what he brought to us on that right wing.
This was expected as well when he went on permanent IR for the rest of the season. Like, it still hurts all the same, and yet saw it coming, you know. So
Yeah.
I bid him adieu. I wish him the best of luck. I hope he doesn't stay in the MLS because I really wouldn't want to see him catch fire for another
Facts.
team because he's got that level of talent and quality. So I kind of hope maybe he goes back and plays in Sweden.
Yeah, yeah, Jacob. This is an example of a player like that was all good vibes with the club, like has had no bad times, no spats, has only performed his best for the club, and it just didn't work out. I don't think there's any kind of bad blood between either party here. Yeah, and like you said, I hope everything works out for the player and the family. We're gonna move on to the second to last European because Michael Wenzel is also going to be exiting this season. No more
Yeah.
first team appearances for him. I think he's actually been injured for a decent chunk of the second half of the season, which explains why he hasn't seen much time for City 2 as well. But I think that he is just feeling out other options. Maybe he can get a contract at a different professional level. Maybe there's an MLS team that needs him or a USL team at I think he'd be very, very serviceable at the USL level.
I'm a big fan of Wenzel. I was kind of
Yeah.
surprised that we didn't see him more often, especially this season when we had a lot of defensive issues. I know he's super young, but we had a lot of injuries, and I'm surprised he just didn't get any more minutes. I thought he really impressed me with the first couple appearances he made for the club. Initially, I thought he was very good, and then we didn't get to see much of him after that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure there's a match where he and JGR started next to each other in the center back role, and the defense
Wow.
played
Yeah.
really well together. And we were
Yep.
kind of singing the praises of like this could be the center back pairing of the future. And now Wenzel's gone and JGR's out on loan.
Yeah.
Not the present, at least. We know for sure it is not the St. Louis City St. Louis City center back pairing of the future, or not the present. Damn. Anyways,
My hold on.
yeah, go.
My final take on the Wenzel is I think this could turn out to be an L for the club. I know he hasn't
Mhm.
actually done a ton with the time he's had. However, he is young, and on paper, he is in a center back room with a lot of bigger names. So it's tough for him to get into the lineup, but I think he could turn out to be a very like a Tim Parker level of center back in the MLS one day.
Interesting. You could see him having a fairly long career across a few clubs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Won't maybe not considered the best center back in the league, but pretty good.
Maybe
I
he'll
think he's
throw
very
his
good.
name in the best defender category one year. Damn.
He could.
Words are killing me in these last few seconds. Dang. I think I said the second to last European, but then I remembered that Alfredo Morales is actually an American and made appearances for the U.S. men's national team. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Apparently, Alfredo was a pretty good locker room presence. And for that, I'm glad. Otherwise, I think that this is the correct move by the front office.
I I know at the beginning of the season I actually really liked Alfredo. Um, he was kind of a plug and play. We obviously didn't have the offseason that we wanted to, and he was a very last second addition to the club to add a little bit more depth in the midfield. That was very much needed, as Morales has made a lot of appearances for us this season. And I wouldn't say he's been amazing in any sense of the word, but I think he's been solid when called upon, hasn't made major mistakes, and even supplied magic in one game. But other than that, he's just kind of been like a rotational midfielder. He's good at moving the ball, and that's about it. Um, I don't know how many more years of pro soccer he's got left. I could see him moving around to another MLS team, but I wish him the best.
Glad he's gone. Next.
All right, good from Jacob there. Akil Watts is going to be St. Louis City's final exit of today. This one is kind of, for me, I think the most hurtful one because he's been there since year one. He was on City 2. He's endeared himself to the fans in a lot of different ways. I've heard nothing but positive things about Akil Watts off the field. At times, I think his play on the field has been a bit inconsistent, but St. Louis City really used him as a utility belt. We saw him at both outside backs and the CDM role.
He played
Probably,
right mid.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably at other positions on the field as well. Like he stepped up when needed and also did a job for the second team. So I can really appreciate his contributions to St. Louis City on and off the field. And I wish Akil Watts nothing but the best. I'm actually going to suggest that he make his way down 64 and try Louisville City out. I think he would fit in fantastically on a USL playoff every single season side.
I'm into that. I don't have too much to add. He definitely is one of those players that just encapsulates City. Like he's just a great all around person. I think he's been at the club for one. He's one of the longest stints at the club.
Tenured,
Tenured,
tenured.
longest tenured players at the club, 4 years. And yeah, his Instagram post today actually got me a little emotional. Showing all those throwback photos of him and Celio and playing for City 2 and yeah, just really growing with the club. And I think we'll miss him.
Yeah, this one sucks. I've gone back and forth on Akil, as you guys have heard me. There have been times where I didn't think he deserved to play for the first team, and then there were times where I had to backtrack, and I was like, "That's one of the best performances we've seen out of Akil. He deserves more clock." And yeah, this I think we can find better use of our money, but as far as what he meant, I'm not sure. So that sucks.
Yeah.
Well, those are the current exiting players. We know Devin Pidelford was on loan at St. Louis City, but word on the street is that the club is trying to work something out with Minnesota United to be determined on that front. Let's move into the staying players, gentlemen. Sangbin Jong staying on the team. He was signed permanently through
Easy.
2025, and we have exercised his option for next season as well. I'm with Jacob here. This is a thumbs up for me. He was a fantastic signing as far as I'm concerned. Almost like for me, a very similar kind of player to Celio Pompey with a little more pace, maybe a little more touch on the ball, and a very good player that I think will score goals for St. Louis City.
Yeah, I like Sungin. Honestly, I was kind of surprised that his original contract was like half a season. You know, so I'm glad they're keeping him. I do think he definitely deserves it, and I'm excited to see what he can bring to the club. Uh, Kind of pedaling back to Padelford, I didn't realize that City has already made a couple of bids for him, and Minnesota has turned them down, including one where we overpaid for Padelford by quite a bit, and they still turned that down. So I really hope we get Padelford. I do think he is a great player for this club, but if we don't get him, uh, I think we got to lock down Conrad Vollum. He's another one that's in negotiations at the moment. But
100%. Yeah, 100%. Also sticking. Oh, Jacob, did you have any comments on Sangbin? Just two thumbs up. Yeah, well, that's about as well said as you could put it, I think. Next up on the list is Brendan McSorley, gents. We talked about his performance earlier this episode. Yeah, this is two thumbs up from everyone around. Kid has shown a lot of potential and also could bode well for St. Louis City's super draft picks. I mean, Emil Yaskalainen is still on the second team and doing well. We'll see where that goes.
you
I
remember
feel
when
like you're telling me to move on, Jacob.
we used to get like a bubble that would be like thumbs up. Do you remember that? I don't remember how we did that. Yeah,
No,
whatever.
I
Move
don't
on.
know what you're talking about.
If you go back and watch
Well,
one of our older episodes.
Chris Durkin also staying around on the team. Jacob, a little, the thumbs up hesitation move there. That's fair. I think that another player that has been inconsistent with St. Louis City at the time, I'm really interested to see the details of this deal because he is no longer a U22 player. So is gonna, yeah, his price is going up for Chris Durkin, and there is an argument, I think, for both sides that he has and has not earned it.
Okay, hang on. So I think specifically in the last game, and I'm going to say second half of this most recent game is what solidified the thought that Chris Durkin can be the number one CDM because in the post-match presser, Chris Critch was talking to Chris Durkin and
Yep.
telling him to stay home more in the second half because we were having success with our wingbacks going up forward, and that his role in the second half is going to be just to stop the counterattacks. And he did that pretty well, as we saw no goals allowed in the second half.
Yep.
So, as far as needing that out and out CDM next to a player like Edu, I think that solidified it for him. I would like to see the team get into the transfer market and look at another center midfielder to compete
Hmm.
and contend for that role next to Chris Durkin. But if we can keep his feet a little bit farther back on the field, I don't hate the option pickup.
Yeah, with Morales gone, there's more room to fill in that depth role for St. Louis City. Um, and yeah, we've already got our depth at the 10 with Ostrich. So
Yep.
I do think we might as well just search for another number six, as well with Akil Watts. Akil Watts occupied um, that midfield role as well. So there's definitely room to add to the midfield in the offseason.
I want to just agree with Jacob really quickly. I think that Klaus gets a lot of credit for being a player renewed under David Critchley. For me, Chris Durkin could be in that same category as well. I think that under Olaf, he had a lot more freedom to do that work way up the field. And we saw that this season where he did not look great. And I think since Critchley has come around, he has been much, much, much more disciplined, which could be Chris Durkin's future, in my opinion, as a CDM as opposed to that eight role. The final player on the staying list, gentlemen, is someone that we have advocated for hard on this podcast for truly its entire existence, for all of year one and year two. We have ridden for the boys, Joao Klauss, and he is around to stay after telling the ownership to pay him. Jacob, you love this signing. Grayson is repping the Klaus scarf, which I want so bad. If you out there have a Klaus scarf, I would gladly take it off your hands. Yeah, simple enough. Two thumbs up, 12 goals this season, and improved a fantastic amount on the back half of the season. I think this is a no brainer, almost as much as Roman Berkey. Not quite as much, but almost.
I
Yeah,
think it's
and
well des
sorry, you got it.
I was gonna say I think it's well deserved. And in order to secure the full-on extension after next season for João Klaus, I need a little bit more. Like, I'm gonna ride for you. I think you deserve to wear number nine. I think you deserve to start every single match that you're healthy. I just need a little bit more if I'm gonna pay you more money. I know I'm not on the ownership group and I don't sign his checks, but I'd like to think I do.
You contribute.
To me, I think not only are we getting a really good player, but we're also buying him down. We got him down to a TAM contract, so we're paying less, and we also have space for DP. Now, I guess we could transition into another player who's
Wait,
staying, but I'm
wait.
not gonna spoil it yet.
Thank you. I want to talk more about Joao Klaus because I think that while his value statistically can be argued until you're blue in the face, I think that his vibes in the locker room are, what's the word? You can't put a price on it. Okay, he is that good. The fans either love him or hate him, but it seems like everyone in the locker room loves him, and he's obviously a leader on the field. So I think that that is why we need to bring Klaus back, and I'm glad that we did. Sorry, Grayson. I felt very passionately that I had to share that.
Why do you hate me? No, I'm just kidding. Um, that's crazy. Sorry, I was once again looking at the list of who Klaus scored more than this season, including Diego Luna, Christian Benteke, Joseph Pe
Benteke hasn't been in the league for half the year.
so Luis Suarez,
It's
Joseph
funny that you
Paintsil.
brought up the name Christian Benteke specifically, Grayson. It felt like you did that with like a
I
wink
did
and a
that.
nudge
I did that on purpose.
toward Jacob and I, because you were right twice this year, dude. Damn.
Chucky
Okay, that one
Lozano,
is with a fucking asterisk next to it.
Kelvin Yeboah, Daniel Shalhoub,
All right.
Imprana,
So those are all the
Owen
players that
Wolf,
João Klaus scored more goals than
Emmanuel
this.
Latte Lath,
Oh wow. That is worth noting, to be fair, that he scored
Gabriel
more
Peck,
goals than the league record signing.
Miran Chuk.
So those are the four players that are going to be returning without a doubt. They are staying in the club for next year. Should we talk about? No, we shouldn't talk about the ongoing transfers yet, but I'll name those players because I think that we could go on for a long time about
Yeah,
the
we'll
the
talk about the negotiations when they're finished. But let's hear those names.
we can give a short opinion, okay? Or maybe a thumbs up, thumbs down for if we want him to come back. All right. Thumbs up, Henry Kessler. Henry Kessler is the first name on that list. All three of us thumbs up and Mr. Kessler, okay?
Not as a DP is my only argument.
Yeah, definitely not. All right, next name on the list, Josh Yarrow. Thumbs up, thumbs down. And we got a unanimous thumbs down once again. No one is going to argue that Josh Yarrow's off-field contributions to the club have been immense and are so critical to the foundation of building a soccer club. However, his on-field contributions have not justified contract re-signing with St. Louis City. Next player on the list, we got Jay Reed. Guys, this is going to be controversial. Thumbs up or thumbs down for Jay Reed? Jacob's looking like thumbs up. Bandit, do you guys have a thought?
Bandit.
I think Bandit's ready for us to finish up.
I like Jay Reed a lot, but I haven't seen him in so long. So I'm gonna give him a thumbs down.
Dang, we got 2 out of 3 thumbs down for Jay Reed. Jacob is the lone thumbs up. Do you want to explain yourself?
I do, buddy. Thank you.
Time for him to explain himself.
Um, I think he was hard done this season with the injury that was, I don't remember, did he come into the season with an ankle injury or it started early?
Yeah, came into preseason with a foot injury.
So I know that that's pushed his return progress back. I think he is a solid enough depth piece at outside back. I don't think we've fully tapped his potential, and I'm not considering him as an everyday starter, but like supplemental roster piece.
Okay.
I think is good enough for me for Jay Reed.
Okay. I
If
I think that
in FC 26 terms, I would put his contract as sporadic.
yeah, there you go. That would be his role in the club. All
Ball
right.
knowledge.
We're gonna rip these last three because they're pretty quick. We'll go Joey Zielinski. Fair
Hmm.
enough, Grayson. We got 2 out of 3 thumbs up. That's me and Jacob on the thumbs up, Grayson on the thumbs down. Seth Antwi. Oh, we got the most mixed you could be. I'm going with the thumbs down. Jacob's got the thumb in the middle, and Grayson says thumbs up. We will have to get into these negotiations a little more in another episode. The final one, boys, Ben Lunt. Yeah,
Easy.
3 thumbs up. 3 thumbs up. He is your backup goalkeeper. It's similar to the backup quarterback position, maybe the most underrated position in sports. And every time that he has been called into action, he has performed valiantly for us. Also, after meeting the guy in person this weekend, he has the biggest hands of a human being that I have ever seen in my life, dude. Oh my God. He'd be able to put Jacob's head, palm it like a basketball. He'd be able to touch your face and the back of your head, Jacob.
That's weird.
Is that a like shot at the fact that I have a abnormally larger cranium?
It was a reference to the fact that you have a bigger head than most, and he has that large of hands.
So you've taken a shot at my height today, you've taken a shot at my lighting
No.
today, and you've taken a shot at the side of my head today.
Uh,
Damn, I'm expecting a Jacob pull up here in Louisville here soon.
Yeah, you won't even hear me coming.
I don't think I mentioned these three names. Christian Oliveras, Yaziel Orozco, and Miguel Perez also got their options exercised for St. Louis City this week or this morning. Great news for them. I think I agree with those three as well. We talked about
Same.
Brendan McSorley. Yeah, so fantastic for. I think that's gonna wrap up our signing section. Though I think
We barely touched on Roman Berkey.
I know I didn't even get to talk about the crowd pop that the stadium had when the signing video gets shown before the game. They hadn't announced anything. You would have thought that St. Louis City scored a world-class bicycle kick goal the way that the crowd responded to that announcement.
to be fair, if I was there, I would have freaked out too.
No, I was going stupid. Me and Jerry Hayes were jumping and hugging.
I
It was
was
awesome.
quite inebriated on a dance floor somewhere and saw the news on my phone a little too late and went back to look at the messages in our group chat. And I was delightfully excited.
You just turned up a little extra harder after
Oh,
that. Hit your shoulder shimmy a little shimmier.
Just shimmied a little bit harder. The two-step was stepping.
To put it mildly. Also the final, I'm gonna call this the final note of the episode and say that we have another upcoming episode just to talk about contracts and our feelings about it. Still no head coach or sporting director formally announced. So I think it's pretty safe to say that Diego Gigliani and John Hackworth are pulling the strings here right now, guys.
On the technical side of the club.
Something that Diego himself said that he would not interfere with whatsoever. He said that he would question, which is the job of a leader, but not get involved with. We just don't have transparency right now. We don't know who's making these decisions, who's pulling these strings. And I think it's very fair for St. Louis City fans to question who is making these decisions. And if it is Diego, to keep him in a hot seat. He is taking on that role. So
To be fair, none of the decisions that have been made thus far have been earth-shattering to the point where we really need to know who made the decision. It would be nice to
that's
know,
true.
but
yeah, they've all been
pitchforks aren't
good.
out yet.
They've all been good so far. I think the only one that's possibly questionable, and it's not even formally announced yet, is if Roman Berkey is on a DP
He
contract,
is.
um, which to me is not the end of the world. I didn't think we were going to sign two DPs in the offseason anyways, but we still have room for one more. So we'll see.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that the three of us could talk for like an hour about
Yeah.
just Roman Berkey's contract and if him being a DP does have a big role on St. Louis City's ability to sign players and contract implications, which I think we all
God,
have
you're
pretty
tickling a
strong
fun part of
feelings
my
about.
brain right now.
I know we got at least another hour of podcasting to do. However, I think that's going to do it for the City Boys tonight. What do you guys say?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I'm
we got to
so
get out of
hungry.
here.
I'm
Yeah,
so
we
hungry.
got a big meaty episode just like we promised for you all. If you managed, Jacob, I'm gonna go ahead and steal the outro here.
I haven't done shit on this episode. At
Okay,
least
no, then
let
I'm
me
gonna
have the
pass it to you. All
outro.
right, let me Greg Berhalter behind the back pass it to you, my boy. Jacob, take us out of here.
If you've stuck around this long, love you, appreciate you, but make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you've liked the video and go ahead and comment your thoughts on the recent roster decisions. If you've been listening on Spotify, make sure you follow, rate 5 stars, and also comment your thoughts and opinions on the roster decisions. But most importantly, for you folks out there with the season over, it ended in not the greatest way. It ended worse than it started, if you ask me. Make sure you tell your mother you love her. Peace. STL, STL,
STO, STO.
STL.